The story begins with a man holding a small white rabbit in his arms. The rabbit looks shocked and frozen with fear. Internally she panics, recognizing that this man is a panther shapeshifter. She worries he might eat her. The rabbit struggles, panicked, thinking, "Let me go, jerk." But no matter how much she kicks, he doesn't loosen his grip. Instead, he looks down at her amused. A slight smile crosses his face as he asks coldly, "Are you crying?" Then he leans in and taunts her further, "Cry more." The rabbit freezes, shocked and helpless. That's how the young rabbit Vivi Rebian ended up in the Black Panther's territory. And so begins the survival story of a weak, terrified child rabbit living among beasts. The scene opens with a small white rabbit tucked into a massive bed, looking lost and overwhelmed. Her name is Vivi Rebian, a prestigious rabbit from the noble Rebian family. For some unknown reason, she's never been able to take human form in her first 18 years. Her own family rejected her for it. Unable to bear the shame, they threw her into the Black Panther's territory like unwanted prey. Now she lies awake, trembling under the sheets. Where is this place? She wonders. Her last memory before losing consciousness was being captured. Or possibly rescued. The fear still lingers. Why did he bring her here? Is he planning to eat her? Her imagination runs wild with terrifying images. She shakes the thoughts away. Get a hold of yourself, she tells herself. Now's the chance to escape. She can't waste it. This might be the only time she's left alone. Determined, she peeks out from under the covers. Her eyes sharpen. Let's go, Vivi. She jumps off the bed in one brave motion, ears flying, paws landing with purpose. For the first time, the timid rabbit dares to run. A large hand suddenly grabs the small white Vivi. That was close. A sharp voice scolds someone nearby, clearly annoyed by the recklessness. The attention shifts toward Master Ahin as the voice continues, throwing Vivi onto the bed like that. How dangerous. Vivi blinks, startled and confused. The person holding her notices something strange, red eyes, sharp canines, and a mysterious intensity in her gaze. He asks coldly, "This is the first time we've met. Where did you come from?" Vivi stays silent. He narrows his eyes, thinking aloud. Another Black Panther. So it's like that. He stares directly at her. Are you mute? Suddenly Vivi begins to squirm. Let go. Put me down, she thinks, flustered. But instead of tossing her aside, the man gently places her on the floor, saying the floor would be safer than the bed. He speaks again, calm but serious. Ms. Bunny, you shouldn't carelessly hurt yourself after coming here. You are Master Ahin's possession after all. Vivi's eyes widen. What does he mean by Ms. Bunny? And possession? He continues, unfazed. And also, you must always maintain a clean body. Cleanliness? Vivi repeats in her mind, confused. His voice becomes more deliberate. Since Master Ahin directly placed Ms. Bunny in his room, she is under a special. Vivi's thoughts race. What is this place? And what does it really mean to belong to Ahin? Vivi's ears twitch. Special? What was that supposed to mean? Emergency food supply, perhaps? Moments later, a physician finishes checking her vitals. It had just fainted from shock for a while, he says calmly. Its heartbeat is normal. There's nothing wrong with it, so don't worry, Mr. Everin. Everin breathes a sigh of relief. That's fortunate. It would have been a problem if Master Ahin had brought back a sick bunny. Vivi's fur bristles. Who are you calling a sick bunny? The room grows quiet again. Everin narrows his eyes and asks, are there any other problems? Does the bunny perhaps have a real appearance? Because it seems to understand my speech. It seems intelligent. He tries to phrase it more carefully. I'm trying to say it doesn't seem like an ordinary animal. The physician nods thoughtfully. I can't sense the pheromones of an animal kin from her. And it's been a while since Lord Ahin brought her here. If she was an animal kin, she would have returned to her human form by now. Another voice suggests, what if it's a baby animal kin that hasn't had their human transformation yet? That's also not possible. Human transformation occurs within the first 3 years of birth. There's no way a baby animal would be able to move so smoothly like that rabbit. Vivi freezes in place. Oh no! I must have moved around too confidently. And I made it obvious I understood their words. Her thoughts spiral. Even if I look like a normal baby rabbit at first, if I let them know that I'm an animal kin, will they let me go? But then the darker possibility creeps in. Wait, aren't there many scholars in Black Panther territory? Won't they turn me into a test subject if they find out I'm an animal kin who failed transformation? Someone whispers, we need to publish this in the academic journal. As the treatment wraps up, the physician straightens up. Mr. Everin, since the treatment is finished, I will take my leave now. Vivi's eyes shoot open just a sliver. Wait, what? Wait. Come back, physician. Don't leave me behind with this weird man. The room falls silent for a second. Then a voice breaks through the air, calm, low, and almost amused. Miss Rabbit. Vivi freezes, keeping her eyes shut tight, pretending to be unconscious. Your closed eyelids are twitching. If you don't wake up now, we may just serve you as an appetizer on the dining table. Would a soup or a grilled dish be better? Panic swells inside her. The man bows lightly. Apologies for my late introduction. I'm a servant for Master Ahin, the one who brought Ms. Rabbit to this residence. My name is Rudd Everin. He studies her carefully, his expression unreadable. There must be a more reasonable answer as to why the noble Master Ahin picked you up. Thinking you were an extraordinary animal capable of understanding human language. Ho ho ho. He lets out a strange low laugh. Mountains are mountains, water is water. I thought you were a magical beast at first, despite your ordinary appearance. Vivi flinches inwardly. Well, even if we keep examining, it still looks ordinary, he adds. Vivi, still pretending to sleep, fumes silently. Okay, yes, I know I look ordinary, but do you really have to keep pointing it out like that? Suddenly the room shifts. Another figure has returned. You're back. Master Ahin. Everin turns, bowing. Master Ahin. Ahin narrows his eyes. Everin, why are you here? Didn't you send someone to assist Ms. Bunny earlier? Everin hesitates. Ah, right. Have you verified whether it's a beast man or not? According to the doctor, it is most likely impossible. Ahin shrugs. Is that so? Well, it doesn't matter. Everin looks up, puzzled. May I ask why? Ahin answers, casually, without the slightest pause, because I'll be eating her tomorrow. The air freezes. If you're thinking of eating it in the morning, having it grilled would be nice, Everin replies smoothly. I'll let the chef know in advance. Vivi nearly explodes. Hey, Hey, do you really have to eat me? Don't you have plenty of other things to eat besides me? But no one seems to listen. Ahin turns and begins walking out again. Don't just leave when you want to. Everin, stop right there. The night is quiet. The room is dimly lit, and on the wide bed Vivi lies curled up beside Ahin. Her little body is still, but her mind is restless. I can't find an opportunity to run away, she thinks. Besides, this is definitely Black Panther territory. Even if I somehow manage to escape, there's no way I'd survive out there. She stares quietly at the ceiling. And even if by chance I did survive, would I even have a home to go back to? Her thoughts sink deeper. It's really not a curse. But my parents, they wanted me to disappear. To them, I'm just a disgrace to the family. Her eyes shift toward the sleeping figure beside her. Ahin's face is calm, his expression unreadable even in sleep. He sure is pretty. He looks a bit scary, but if it wasn't for this person, I really would have died that day. Her ears twitch. My current situation is dreadful, but at least he hasn't done anything to hurt me. Maybe I should just be grateful to him. Ahin shifts slightly. His eyes flutter open. Before Vivi can finish her thought, Ak! Her voice breaks the silence, startling them both. The morning light seeps into the room as Ahin slowly wakes, his eyes opening to find Vivi lying beside him. She stiffens, startled. He tells her she'll suffocate, then calmly observes that she's crying again. Vivi quickly denies it, but her voice falters. It's just she remembers the pain, the mockery, how others laughed, how she was discarded. She thinks to herself that being thrown away hurt more than she expected. Ahin asks if she's afraid of being eaten, and when she gives a small nod, he simply replies that she should cry more. Vivi, confused by his strange obsession with tears, tries to force herself to cry, but nothing comes. He scoffs, saying she lacks sincerity, then adds that he'll eat her the day after tomorrow, so she should try harder. Before she can react, he picks her up and sets her back on the bed. Stay still, he tells her. Act as if you don't exist. You'll only bother me. Vivi lies frozen, her thoughts spinning. So mean, she thinks quietly. A girl gently picks Vivi up and she lets out a startled sound. Ack! He really... What? The girl asks, but Vivi quickly brushes it off. No, nothing. By the way, you're leaving, right? Right? Come on, leave. Just leave. Don't come back. But the girl smiles and introduces herself with confidence. Upon young master's orders, I will be your companion. My name is Mimi. Vivi stares in disbelief. Now wait, what? From there, Vivi and Mimi begin their daily routine together. They explore the mansion, Mimi giving her an enthusiastic house tour. It's huge, luxurious, and filled with elegant halls. Vivi quietly admits to herself this is nice. They share bath time, eat more food than Vivi can believe, and stroll through the park. Vivi hops along beside her, still unsettled. Since he's called young master, Vivi assumes a hen must be the son of the estate owner. But her thoughts are haunted by his cold words, "I'll eat you the day after tomorrow." He didn't even hesitate. That look in his eyes, it was terrifying. Then, as if fate nudged her, Vivi notices something in the distance, the entrance gate. That's enough for me to escape. Her heart pounds. If I want to get out of here, now is my only chance. As Mimi turns away and wishes her a good day, Vivi bolts in the opposite direction. I have to go. I'll escape. Go away. Get out of my way. Just a bit more. She runs, adrenaline surging, her mind repeating the same desperate chant. Almost there. But before she can reach the gate, a sudden blade swings down in front of her. Arg, where did that sword come from? Her eyes widen in panic. But before she can react further, a pair of arms lift her off the ground. Mimi has picked her up again. Her voice is calm but firm. It's dangerous out there. Vivi freezes in her hold, completely stunned. People here are really strange, she thinks as she's brought back inside. That night she's fast asleep until a sound stirs her. Her eyes flutter open to see a hen standing nearby, his figure calm, his clothes soaked in blood. Her breath catches. What's that? So much blood. A hen let out a deep breath and slowly pulled off his jacket, revealing fresh wounds beneath his clothes. Vivi's ears perked up, her eyes filled with concern. Master Ahin, was he injured? She sat up slightly alarmed. One of the attendants rushed over shouting, was it the werewolf's doing? Apparently those bastards were now using scents that could numb the body. Though the wound wasn't deep, it needed to be bandaged. Orders were given quickly, the corpse would be sent back to the wolves' territory even if they denied involvement. A squad of 30 would follow just in case. The atmosphere was tense. Bottles of medicine were prepared as someone bowed and announced they would return in the morning. Ahin turned, only now remembering Vivi. She had been so quiet he was genuinely startled. She's clever, someone said, just what you'd expect from a creature chosen by a Hinnim. Another voice added she seemed to understand everything. Vivi sat still, tense. Was she going to be dragged into all of this? Ahin called out to her. Come here. She hesitated. What now? He picked her up without warning. She flinched. Remove your hand. Take it off. Let go. She was a complete mess inside but couldn't resist. It must have hurt a lot. Just what happened with the wolves. As he lifted her up toward his face, Vivi froze. What was he doing? Then he sniffed. She blinked in horror. Your neck smells of pheromones, he muttered. Her thoughts spiraled. What did he just say? Pheromones? No, there's no way. That scent only appears on beasts that have transformed into humans. Was she a rare species? Suspicion filled the room. Ahin wrapped her in a blanket, then turned his back, lost in thought. I shouldn't have killed them all at once, he murmured. Just what is this person thinking about? Vivi wondered. Ahin sighed again, then went to sleep. Sword training clashed against the silence of the early day, the sharp sounds of metal echoing through the estate. Evren watched closely, concern in his voice as he stepped forward. Wouldn't it be better to rest from your sword training for today? But Ahin didn't stop. Evren continued, explaining that the number of wolf clan invasions had increased drastically, which had oddly enough reduced the assassination attempts on Ahin from his mother's side of the family. Still, he added, it would be better if Lord Ahin could treasure his own body more. Moving too vigorously would only reopen his shoulder wound. Ahin responded flatly, it's healed. Evren blinked in confusion. Pardon? The wound, Ahin repeated, has completely healed. Even as Evren muttered to himself about Ahin's stubbornness, he couldn't help but be amazed. The recovery speed of the heated Lord Ahin was truly unmatched. A wound sealed just yesterday had vanished overnight. It was nothing short of extraordinary. Even he, a seasoned attendant, was surprised to find it fully healed. But Ahin's focus had already shifted elsewhere. Evren, he said, turn your attention to the noble families of the rabbit territory. Go investigate whether any rabbits from those bloodlines have died or disappeared recently. Evren's eyes widened slightly. Ah, yes, my lord. As the command settled, the scene shifted quietly to another room where Vivi lay fast asleep, unaware of the growing investigation that now surrounded her. Mimi stood beside Vivi as another woman approached, poised, graceful, and unmistakably powerful. So this is the rabbit Ahin picked up? She asked, her voice cool. That's right, Mimi replied softly. The woman raised a brow. Rumor has it that this bunny is quite the talkative one. Is that true? Vivi stiffened. This person, her presence was overwhelming. Mimi bowed slightly and corrected her gently, that seems to be misinformation. However, it's possible the rabbit understands to some extent. So perhaps the rumors weren't completely baseless. The woman nodded thoughtfully and dismissed Mimi. I wish to speak with this child alone, she said. Yes, madam. Vivi's thoughts raced. It's been 10 days since I came to this place, and now I'm standing in front of Ahin's mother, the person with the most influence in this entire residence. The woman crouched down. Child, hold your hand out. Your leg. Sit down. Vivi obeyed, nervous but silent. The woman smiled and gently petted her. You're awfully adorable, she said. Vivi flushed. Her ears drooped. It seemed like this woman wasn't too bad until she casually added that Ahin appeared to be raising this rabbit as food. Vivi's heart stopped. Her body froze. Rattling slightly, she tried to hide her panic. In the past few days, she had grown used to living with Mimi, occasionally tolerating Evren throwing bizarre comments her way, and worst of all, surviving Ahin's nightly bullying. Are you crying? Are you not crying? Why aren't you crying? Try crying. Her mind screamed. I should really give these people a prize. From her point of view, Evren had become a demon. Ahin worse. And now she had to process that everything she endured might have been just to fatten her up. To be emergency food. The woman leaned in again. If you want to live long, don't be too obedient to Ahin. When a predator loses interest in its prey, it can easily devour it. Vivi's eyes widened. Even if I rebel, won't he just bite me with those giant fangs? She shook her head slowly. Predators, what exactly goes on in their heads? The woman gave her one final glance. Child, did you know I sensed a faint trace of pheromones coming from you just now, but not right now? Pheromones? From me. Vivi sat frozen, her ears twitching with alarm. That night Vivi lay on her bed in the grand residence, eyes wide as thoughts raced through her mind. It must be the scent of pheromones. Ahin's mother had mentioned sensing a trace earlier. Vivi frowned slightly. Predators had much sharper senses than herbivores, she'd heard that before. So could both of them have really imagined it? Pheromones were only supposed to appear after full humanization, but exceptions existed. Just like her. She was clearly an animal kin, yet still a tiny bunny. Her ears twitched at the memory of Mimi teasing her about transforming. Ms. Vivi, you have to go poof to transform. Vivi sighed. After all this time, shouldn't she have become human by now? She sat up and decided to try, figuring there was nothing left to lose. She closed her eyes and focused. When she opened them, her breath caught. Ahin was standing right there watching. He spoke plainly. Today the Wolf Clan launched another surprise attack. So I got hurt. Hurt, she repeated in her mind, uneasy. He held out his arm, showing the injury. Then without warning he picked her up. Her legs kicked weakly as she gasped and squirmed. If that's so, he said, there's no need to keep a rabbit who can't heal others. Her heart dropped. Mother, she thought desperately. Now do you have more of a desire to heal, he asked, watching her closely. She gave a quick nod. Of course, she thought. You beast. He told her to try it. She froze, unsure. How do I even treat someone, she wondered. Her eyes darted around, searching for a clue. No medicine, no bandages. Nothing. Ugh, screw it, she muttered to herself. Without thinking too hard, she leaned in and gave the wound a light lick. Ahin blinked, stunned. Is this healing, he asked slowly. Vivi narrowed her eyes. What do you want from me, she thought. I'm not a physician. I'm a rabbit. The weather was bright and calm, the kind of day that naturally lifted spirits. Vivi sat quietly, enjoying the breeze, her appetite strong. She chewed slowly, her lips moving in small motions. The woman beside her smiled. The way you chew with your lips is so cute, she said softly. Would you like some more? Vivi nodded. It was hard to speak, but her ears and expression said enough. When they first met, Valence had felt uneasy around Vivi, but now, after spending more time together, she found herself enjoying the little rabbit's company. Even something as simple as sharing food felt warm and comforting. Vivi would respond with bright eyes and a silent compliment, making Valence beam with pride. It seems I'm late in introducing myself, she said. My name is Valence Grace. Vivi tilted her head. Grace. That surname sounded familiar somehow. What was it again? Valence leaned closer, her tone playful. Please call me Mrs. Valence. Vivi blinked. There's no way I'd be able to say that, she thought quietly. Then the tone shifted. Valence reached toward her. Child, stop breathing for a bit and think about repressing the arteries in your body. Vivi tensed. Stop breathing and suppress my arteries? She hesitated, then tried it. Like this? Her body went still. Something shifted. A strange sensation spread through her limbs. What is this, she thought. What's this feeling? Then suddenly it worked. Her form shimmered. Valence smiled calmly. How clever. You finished off well. Vivi blinked again. Remember this sensation, Valence said. Vivi took a breath. She's telling me to remember this sensation, she repeated internally, trying to hold onto the feeling. Then Valence pointed toward a small doll on the ground. Now if you can't catch this doll, I'm going to eat you tomorrow. Do you understand? Vivi stared at the doll, nerves building again. A loud voice suddenly broke the air. You punk, what are you doing? A hen muttered with a teasing grin, chuckling that maybe she couldn't catch the doll because her legs were too short. You fat rabbit, he added, clearly amused. Vivi froze, fuming. What was that she thought? Who is he calling fat? Take that back right now. Evren sighed, stepping in with a tired look. Master Ahin, what if you really do get disliked at this rate? He reminded him that he had already scared Ms. Rabbit during breakfast, joking that she'd be served on a plate. Look at her now, Evren said. She's looking at you with contempt in her eyes. Ahin smirked. But I like that gaze. It feels exciting. Evren simply nodded. Ms. Rabbit, in the future please continue disliking Master Ahin. Vivi could only groan internally. Both of them were exhausting. Since that morning they had dragged her into a carriage without explanation, not telling her where they were going, and now they expected her to play along with their antics. Her little fists moved with frustration. Punches flew. Jabs landed. Crackling sounds echoed through the wooden space. Oh, someone joked, is this an invincible rabbit? It seems we may be witnessing the first fighter rabbit. Vivi shoved them off, thinking, so noisy, just get away from me. Evren, still trying to win her over, called out that he too might be disliked. Ms. Rabbit, please understand my tender feelings, he pleaded, but she gave him nothing. Then the chaos stilled. Vivi turned her attention outside. As the carriage rolled along, she realized this was the first time she had ever left the estate like this. Being able to look out and see the world up close felt surreal. It was different from anything she had ever read or heard about. Her eyes sparkled. Someday, she thought, would I be able to explore this world on my own? That thought was short-lived. A hen suddenly scooped her up. Her ears twitched. That hurt, she mumbled silently. What was that for? Before she could protest further, the driver of the carriage spoke calmly. We will arrive soon. Vivi peeked out from a hen's coat pocket, her expression shifting as the surroundings changed. What kind of place is this for them to have come so far out, she wondered. Then she saw it. Her heart skipped. No, this place. Isn't this the temple? The carriage slowed and the frame held still, signaling the beginning of something unknown. Vivi was taken to the temple and something felt off. People whispered around her, saying it must be the animal god's curse, that she still hadn't transformed, that she couldn't even speak, and calling her useless. One girl looked at her and asked if she was really her sister, saying she was embarrassed because of her. Vivi didn't want to hear any of it. She wondered if they brought her here because they sensed pheromones from her and wanted to find out what she really was. Ahin told her to stay quietly, but she didn't like it there and wanted to go back. Ahin walked to the priest while Vivi was left behind. The priest welcomed him, saying it had been 3 years since the Animal God Festival. Vivi overheard their conversation and realized they were talking about her. They said it was a curse, that she must have been abandoned by the Animal God and there was no way to reverse it. Vivi stared at the statue, questioning why she couldn't transform, why only she had to live like this, and whether she was truly cursed. Ahin appeared behind her and said she was making him annoyed. He asked if she hated the temple, and Vivi admitted she did, saying she hated the priest even more. Evren rushed in, relieved to see her safe but surprised that she had tried to run away. Ahin claimed she ran because she hated the temple, and Evren joked that she must be an atheist. Ahin replied that it would be stranger if a rabbit had religion, and Evren wondered aloud if rabbits prayed sometimes. Ahin then said if she didn't like the temple they should go home. Vivi was surprised they were leaving so easily, but Ahin confirmed it. Evren muttered that he was a civil servant, not a knight, and begged her not to dash around unexpectedly again. Ahin warned Evren not to talk to her too closely, and Evren admired Ahin's cold attitude. As they got into the carriage, Vivi sat quietly, exhausted. Today had been tough. Back at the residence, Vivi lies on the bed next to Ahin. Her eyes snap open for a second. Why is this beast looking at her with his robes undone? She quickly pretends to sleep, her heart pounding. Feels like an unguarded black panther, wild and unpredictable. But Vivi thinks defiantly, does he think he's the only beast here? He must not know how dangerous Vivi really is. As she tries to stay still, Ahin leans in slightly and touches her gently. He calls her crybaby and tells her something unsettling: predators are said to be possessive. Vivi's mind races. Oh no! Sometimes, Ahin says, when predators' desires grow too strong, they break their possessions and throw them away. What exactly does he mean by that? Her thoughts spiral. He tells her she was picked up by him, that's the only reason she's alive. So that means in his mind she belongs to him. Property. Did he just threaten her? Vivi's eyes widen as fear sets in. Does he mean he'll break one of her legs if she tries to escape? I'm scared, she thinks desperately. Someone save me. Ahin's mother sat calmly on a chair watching Vivi closely. She gently instructed her to take deep breaths and gather energy into her lower abdomen as if to conceal her pheromones. There was no rush. She reminded Vivi to stay calm and breathe in slowly, then exhale. Vivi followed the steps carefully, though it was tough, and eventually flopped down, wheezing slightly. Ahin's mother praised her for doing well. Vivi thought to herself that practicing pheromone control every day after lunch might help her transform into her human form soon. Then Ahin's mother asked if Vivi could read. Mimi answered for her excitedly, confirming she could. A book was handed over for her to study in her spare time since it might be helpful. Curious, Vivi opened it and saw it was titled Theory of Pheromones. She read that pheromones are a scent and aura unique to animal kin, manifesting in things like abilities, attack methods, and social status. Most rabbit animal kin were known to have well-developed evasion pheromones for escaping danger. Vivi wondered if she was that type, though she didn't think she was very fast. As she flipped to the next section, her heart skipped a beat. It was about pheromones and sex. That part she knew all too well. In her former home at the Rebian household, the servants took advantage of the fact that she couldn't speak and would often display affection toward each other right in front of her in her room. She fumed silently, remembering it, thinking there wasn't no one there. She had always been there watching. Vivi suddenly hears a strange noise and looks around. Nin, what's that sound? She wonders. She sees Evren and Ahin trying hard not to burst into laughter. Confused, Vivi watches them, unsure why they're acting like that. Evren, holding back laughter, comments that ever since living with Ms. Rabbit he's witnessed some truly precious sights. Ahin struggles to stay composed as he watches a baby rabbit Vivi reading so seriously. The moment is so touching to him that he jokes it should be preserved as a painting. Both men begin to laugh, overwhelmed, and Ahin nearly loses control, prompting Evren to beg him to calm down. He warns that if Ahin laughs too hard, Vivi might get upset. Their laughter fills the air, making the whole room shake slightly. Meanwhile, at the residence gate, a guard appears as Mimi returns and notices that both Ms. Valence and Ahin are busy today. She wonders if something happened. Suddenly, an unfamiliar man approaches and lifts Vivi gently. Startled, Vivi thinks, who is this person? His golden eyes catch her attention, and she wonders if he's from the herbivore animal kin. But as he speaks, she recoils. He reeks of the Black Panther's scent, and she realizes he has canines. He's not a herbivore, he's a predator. She panics and calls out for Mimi again and again. As the stranger stares at her, others around begin to ask who is this and what kind of beast suddenly showed up unannounced. Vivi panics and stares wide-eyed, wondering why the stranger is looking at her like that. Suddenly she yells in her mind, there's such a strong Black Panther scent on him. When he mentions Ahin, she realizes that's exactly what he means. Frantically, she begs Mimi to get this man away from her. Mimi politely steps in and asks the Mansurmanians to put the rabbit down. Just then Ahin appears and Vivi feels immense relief. Ahin stares at the scene, surprised that someone like Lord Grace would be raising a rabbit. He tells Vivi to come over and she rushes to him as he picks her up. Ahin glares at the man and says he smells like a dirty lion, calling it disgusting. Confused and flustered, Vivi wonders why both of them smelled her. Then she panics even more. Did he just say lion? A Black Panther was already too much, but a lion is worse. She thinks she really shouldn't be here. Ahin teases her, asking if she wants to go to the lion, and when she panics again, he sarcastically adds that she must want to be eaten. Vivi freaks out inside and questions what's wrong with this man, insisting that she never said that. Ahin tells her to beg if she wants to live. She thinks it's starting again and refuses to beg. A nearby comment suggests that the rabbit seems to like the dirty lion more than Ahin, which makes him annoyed. Ahin firmly declares that Black Panthers are not allowed to have double marriages and shoves Vivi into his pocket before walking off. Someone mutters that Ahin is still a crazy bastard, and another agrees, saying that's the perfect description. Ahin removes his tie and mutters about the lion scent. Meanwhile, Manyans quickly retreats. Later, Evren brings information and reports that no rabbits have gone missing among the rabbit aristocracy. Even when the search expanded to middle-ranking rabbits, no one had disappeared. This rabbit is mysterious. Evren speculates that while Vivi might not be a shapeshifter, she might not belong to a normal race either. Ahin thinks about it and comments that even after a month the rabbit hasn't grown, only gotten fatter thanks to Madame Valence. Still, it's clear that she's not a noble. But the scent of pheromones had been real. He notes how much attention Vivi paid to his mother and says he'll personally ask her about it. Evren warns that might not be a good idea since Vivi tore up all the books he brought last time, including one titled How to Cook a Herbivore. Ahin tells him he's weird, and Evren responds he doesn't want to hear that from Ahin or anyone else. Ahin tells him to say that again, and Evren cheekily declares Ahin is the light of his life, which earns a sharp shut up from Ahin. It was the first time a hen had ever heard of a beast abandoning their own child. The idea felt unnatural, even cruel, something that defied the instincts of their kind. They spoke in hushed, urgent tones, their words heavy with threat. "We have to bury this. Make sure it won't become a problem." One of them stated coldly that she would die at the hands of the Black Panthers. Evelyn hesitated before asking, almost in disbelief, if they were truly saying the girl had been thrown away. But the answer was even colder. "If there are people looking for that rabbit, kill them all." Mimi apologizes to Vivi for not being able to help earlier. She explains that Runmanians is a high-ranking representative from the Lion clan who visits their side for negotiations, and as a servant she has no authority to go against him. She warns Vivi to avoid going outside on the days he visits. Vivi nods and asks if the scent of the lion is all gone, worrying that a hen might pick on her again. Just then a hen appears and tells her that she still smells like the lion. Vivi is frustrated, silently cursing both the lion and a hen for being beasts. A hen asks if she got rid of the scent, and Vivi insists that she did, showing her clean fur. Evren comments that he can still smell it, and Vivi argues that it must be a hen's own scent. Evren suggests it's time to give the rabbit a proper name since it has been a month since she arrived and everyone just calls her the bunny. A hen pauses and repeats the word name as if considering it, while Vivi internally panics. A hen guesses she might already have a name, which stuns Vivi. He casually says he'll be leaving and that he'll see her tomorrow. Vivi wonders again how he knew she had a name but gets no answer. Suddenly a hen picks her up by the neck. Vivi protests, asking if he intends to hold her like that forever, and complains about her rights. A hen coldly warns her that if she keeps staring at him he might just eat her. Vivi mutters that he really is a beast. Vivi dips her paw into a dish of ink, unsure of what she's doing, when a hen suddenly appears and demands to know what she's doing. He hands her a paper and tells her to write down her name. Confused, Vivi hesitates, wondering why he's so insistent when she's just a rabbit, not a person. She feels frustrated by her inability to speak and thinks about how naming an animal is said to build closeness. Reluctantly, she decides to try dipping her paw in ink and awkwardly attempting to write her name. The result is a messy scrawl, Vivi. A hen picks up the paper and softly reads the name out loud, surprising her. Then out of nowhere he picks her up and brings her close to his mouth, startling her as his teeth touch her gently. She panics at first, wondering why he's biting her without warning, but then realizes he's trying to erase the lingering scent of the lion. The sensation is strange and overwhelming. Her heart pounds, her body weakens, and the scent of a hen's pheromones surrounds her, making her dizzy. Eventually she falls asleep from the intensity. When she wakes up nauseous and confused, she finds herself lying on the floor while a hen sleeps peacefully nearby. She wonders why he hasn't questioned her true identity despite how suspicious her presence is. As she gazes at him, a hand reaches gently toward his face and she feels a surprising warmth. In the Lenian family estate, a man and woman sit together at a table sipping tea. The woman anxiously questions why there's still no news, convinced that their loyal employees wouldn't have been bested by someone like Vivi. The man speculates that perhaps the Black Panthers captured her, or maybe she crossed the border into the forest and was hunted. The woman expresses concern since the forest is near the Grace family's residence, and if anyone from that household got involved, Vivi might have been found. The man tries to reassure her, saying if that's the case then it's something to be thankful for, they would have taken care of her. Still worried, she suggests sending someone to investigate. Calmly the man remarks that if Vivi had been eaten by a Black Panther there wouldn't be a single bone left behind. The woman agrees, noting that outcome would indeed be the simplest. Back at a hen's residence, Vivi wakes up expecting to see human hands but is greeted by the same fluffy paws. Disappointed, she laments that she's still a cotton ball. She sighs in frustration, wondering how a Black Panther like a hen could ever understand her feelings. Irvin notices and questions what's wrong with the rabbit. When a hen hears she sighed, he casually suggests that maybe she's hungry, and Irvin quickly adds that she did just have breakfast. A hen, however, interprets it differently, smirking as he explains that Vivi needs to gain weight because she's being prepared as food. Vivi is shocked by the comment. A hen sniffs her to check if any lion scent remains and confirms that it's gone, warning her that if he smells anything like last time again, then before finishing his sentence he turns to leave. Vivi panics inside, wondering what he was about to say. Just then Madame Valence appears and Vivi excitedly runs toward her, hoping to explain what happened the previous night. Unable to speak, Vivi tries acting it out with exaggerated gestures, mimicking how a hen bit her and how she felt dizzy afterward. But Madame Valence misinterprets it, thinking the poor rabbit simply didn't eat enough. She orders hay from the Eastern Territories to be prepared despite it having only been an hour since breakfast. Vivi tries to protest through gestures again, but it's no use. Mimi is equally stunned, watching the entire scene unfold in confusion. The weather was calm and peaceful when suddenly a man appeared, his expression serious as he examined something in his hand. "Got it," he said, identifying the object confidently. "This is a beast's bone." The discovery cast a shadow over the pleasant atmosphere, hinting at something far more dangerous lurking nearby. As the calm weather shifted, a man who had discovered the beast's bone earlier stood with two others, puzzled by how long it was taking to confirm the death of a single rabbit, especially when evading black panthers shouldn't have been easy. Suddenly a hen appeared with Irvin and his panthers, catching them off guard. When asked who crossed the boundary, a hen shot back with his own question. The men recognized him by his red eyes, clear proof he was from the Black Panther clan. A hen coolly declared that the rabbit they were seeking was with him now. Their response hinted at wanting the rabbit back, but a hen wasn't convinced of their sincerity and accused them of being spies. He loudly announced that the rabbit was now his emergency food, causing shock and confusion. Irvin, ever dramatic, defended a hen's claim, insisting he was ready to kill to protect the rabbit. The opposing group realized they were outnumbered and decided to retreat, believing the odd conversation was a distraction. But before they could flee, a hen's energy flared. Strong pheromones filled the air as he gave the order to his panthers to attack. In a panic, one man begged him to stop. A hen demanded answers about what the rabbit truly was. The man finally confessed that the rabbit was a shapeshifter who, despite being 18, had never turned human, making her a monster in their eyes. A hen was left deep in thought, processing the implications of what he had just learned. A hen stood deep in thought with Irvin by his side. He suddenly realized something crucial he had forgotten to ask about Vivi's family. He admitted this oversight aloud, surprised that it only just occurred to him. Irvin, trying to stay respectful, acknowledged it too. A hen reflected on what he had learned. If Vivi was really 18, that meant she was around his own age. But the idea that she couldn't turn human yet was difficult to grasp. He questioned whether it made any sense for a rabbit to understand their language and even read books. Irvin reminded him that he had believed from the start that the rabbit was a shapeshifter, but a hen had only believed it partially. Irvin asked why he ignored the signs if he suspected the truth, and a hen deflected the question, teasing that the rabbit was tempting. When he slept, he sometimes felt the urge to eat her, which shocked Irvin. A hen admitted he was almost turning into a real beast, blaming her pheromones for making things complicated. He noted that as a rabbit she was easy to keep an eye on, especially since she couldn't roam freely. Irvin asked for clarification, and a hen brushed him off, calling him annoying. The teasing escalated into playful threats from a hen's panthers, and Irvin pleaded not to be eaten. Meanwhile, Vivi sat in front of her book, thinking a hen was late again. She flipped through the pages and read that powerful pheromones could delay shapeshifting. A fox once shifted late because of this, and Vivi wondered if that applied to her too. Just then a suspicious maid entered the room. Vivi immediately felt uneasy. Something was off. The maid reached for her, but Vivi backed away, alert and tense. Her instincts screamed danger. The tension snapped when a wolf appeared, confirming her fear. Vivi froze in shock, staring at the intruder who had come for her. Vivi panicked as the wolf shifter approached her, eyes wide with fear. She recognized immediately that it wasn't just any wolf, it had red eyes like the Black Panthers. That didn't make any sense. Why would a wolf have the same eyes as panthers? Why was it chasing her? Her thoughts raced. She had to escape. But everywhere she turned there was no exit. A dead end. Could she jump down? No, it was too high. Her body trembled. "Somebody, anybody, please help me." Just then a calm voice called her name. Vivi looked down and saw a hen standing below her with the lion shifter Manyans at his side. A hen asked what she was doing up there. Vivi was overwhelmed with relief and shouted back that there was a wolf, she needed help. But her relief was short-lived. The wolf moved in closer and she flinched in terror. A hen, completely unfazed, casually waved up at her. The lion beside him looked stunned. A hen told him to wave too, saying that's how you greet someone. Mannion snapped, frustrated, calling them idiots. He yelled that he wasn't trying to say hi and demanded to know what a hen meant by all this. A hen just smirked, leading the lion, completely thrown off and muttering that he was still useless. Vivi watched in horror as the wolf crept closer, and despite her desperate cries, a hen and the lion were still just talking below. Frustrated and scared, she tried to escape on her own but lost balance and began to fall from the terrace. In panic, she screamed, but instead of hitting the ground, she landed right on a hen's head. Holding her now in his hands, a hen calmly asked if she was some sort of thrill seeker for jumping so suddenly. Vivi, dazed but relieved, muttered that at least she was alive. Then both a hen and Manyans caught a strange scent. A hen immediately recognized it as a wolf's. Just then Mimi appeared on the terrace, calling out to Miss Rabbit. Vivi lit up and ran to her, overwhelmed, saying she missed her. Mimi gently told her not to cry, and Vivi snapped back, reminding her she's the one who always tells her to cry more when she starts crying. Manyans watched them in confusion, unsure what to make of the scene unfolding before him. Irvin explained that the wolf was actually a mixed breed of wolf and panther who had snuck in by pretending to be a job applicant during temporary employee recruitment, but once its identity was exposed it took its own life. Vivi, still shaken, tried to make sense of why the wolf attacked her. Was it simply hungry or curious because she was a hen's so-called prey? She shouted at the memory of it, telling it to go eat something bigger since she was too small to satisfy anyone. Still confused, she couldn't come up with an answer. When the lion shifter tried to reach toward her, she swatted his hand away, hitting him and claiming it was just a warning. She then noticed everyone had left, leaving her with the lion while Mimi continued working in the same room. The lion asked Mimi if Vivi was the rabbit who couldn't shapeshift. Mimi replied it was just an ordinary rabbit. The lion seemed surprised and commented on rumors that it could understand human language. Mimi admitted it was a rather special rabbit. The lion then wondered why the wolf targeted her, and after staring at Vivi casually remarked that she looked delicious. Vivi, visibly pissed off, shouted internally how rude it was that all beasts ever thought about was food. She stomped around angrily while the lion noted that if this turned into a bigger issue the upcoming ball might get postponed. The ball preparations were in full swing, and despite the recent attack the event would proceed as scheduled since the invitations had already been sent out. Vivi, overhearing everything, began imagining what the grand ball would be like in such a massive mansion, wondering if it would be even more extravagant than the Levian family's. The mention of unfamiliar employees made her realize they must have been hired temporarily for the event. But the realization that different species, including dangerous ones, could infiltrate the Black Panther's mansion hit her hard. It wasn't a place meant for herbivores like her, and the thought of beast politics and the harsh reality of shapeshifter lives terrified her. She was startled to learn that Valence was the head of the Black Panther clan, which led her to wonder if a hen was the heir.